2, tell the 6th nutrients and describe their functions. Ryan, wake up, that's 2.
Hold on.
Ryan, this is the 3rd time this week you didn't complete your homework assignment.
Can I go to the nurse?
No, Ryan, I'm very disappointed in you.
What?
Let's move on.
Stuff like this happens every day in our schools.
73% of students who were surveyed last week on bullying reported that they've seen another student being picked on, teased, harassed, or beaten since coming to our school.
Those students that seen someone bullied checked off the answer and just walked by and didn't say anything because they barely even noticed the action.
What does this say about our school? If bullying is so common, it's not even recognized anymore.
There needs to be change.
You need to be the change.
That's why we brought you, our students and teachers, about today.
We'd like to welcome Ms. Mathai.
The law protects adults from things like extortion or stealing, also from things like slander and assault. For example, if one adult took a rock and threw it at another adult, or yelled obscenities at another adult, chances are that that person would either be sued or that person would be arrested. And what we think here today is that the same protection should be extended to you, to kids. And that's what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk to the students, we're here to talk to the teachers, and we're here to talk to our principals. But first, I'd like to take a minute to recognize some very special guests who have taken some time out of their day to be here because they think that what we're about to talk about is as important as what, well, we really think that it's also important. So first, I would like to welcome, first and foremost, Mayor Lucy Arminio for coming. Dr. Harry Groveman. And Saddle Brook's Police Chief, Chief Kugler. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to say a special thank you to some kids who really helped me out with this. Because without their help, without the time that they took after school, spending time cutting ribbons and putting up signs and writing and performing and rehearsing skits, today would not be possible. So as I call their names, I'm going to ask them to come down and take a seat if they're not already seated within these first 3 rows. I want to recognize them. First we have Ryan Adams. If I can ask you to just hold your applause, because we have quite a few students, hold your applause until the end. Then you can show them some love. Kellyanne Fair. Mike Agrella. Marissa Licamara. Melanie Galliano. Brittany Marabello. Vinny Zafonte. Eric Brooks. Joey Toth. Mike Verducci, where are you? Come on down. Chelsea Dolinsky. Come on down. You're the next contestant. Megan Wright. Gabrielle Samaluka. Jessica Castoro. Kasha Truzagowska. Shireen Hassan. Igor Zakowski. Alyssa Mancini. Renee McCarthy. Dina Ferrari. Stephanie Gilronan. Jason Franks. Brianne Kavanaugh. Amanda Moreno. Chelsea Bashi. And Allison Bada. Let's show them a little love. and that we think is important, and that you are aware of, and that you do know. So I'm going to ask at this time Renee McCarthy, Stephanie Goronin, if you can come up.
Every day, 160,000 kids are absent from school because of fear.
They're not absent because they're sick. They're not absent because they've got to run to a dentist appointment. They are absent because they are afraid to come to school because they don't feel safe. That's 160,000. That's not 16, that's not 160. Think about that.
Since 1992, there have been over 250 violent deaths in schools that involved multiple victims. In over 95% of all school shootings that have taken place in the last 10 years, bullying has been identified as a key factor.
Each year, 10 to 12 kids in New Jersey kill themselves because of the way they feel when they're being bullied.
What do you think? Did you guys know about this? Think of that. Each year, Stephanie was saying that there are 10 to 12 children in the state of New Jersey. Kids just like you. Could be somebody sitting in this room who feels so bad about stuff that's going on at their school that they take their own life. Now, bullies have been around for a long time, right? Like, really long time. I'm sure if we asked the mayor and Dr. Groveman, even Mr. Porfido, when you guys were in school, were bullies around? Oh, yeah. It's been around for a long time. So why all of a sudden are we hearing so much about it now? Does anybody know? How come something like this wasn't done a couple of years ago? What do you think?
Because it's been progressing over and over again.
It's gotten worse. The consequences, the incidents have become bloodier, and it's become more terrifying. I want to take some time to share some stories with you. We can pretend we're back in elementary school, and it's story time. And I want you to keep in mind, as we do story time, I have no picture books to show you, I'm sorry. Although I don't know if you want to see some of the pictures, but I have some stories. First, does anybody know what Columbine is, or where Columbine is, or anything about the Columbine incident that happened a few years ago? Tell us what you know. What do you know about it? You know what? Let me get the microphone. What do you know? We'll start over here. What do you know, John?
That people got shot.
He's right. People did get shot. Do you know how many? About 12. Very good. Yeah, very educated. I like this audience. Thanks. Amy, what do you know?
It was a high school shooting in Colorado about these kids who were made fun of, I think, a lot. So one day they brought guns to school and they started running this shooting rampage because I guess they didn't feel like they were being picked on.
Absolutely right. A good thing for John and Vinny. What happened at Columbine was exactly what they said. There were two kids. These kids weren't the kind of kids that would sit back in the classroom, little on the shy side, really didn't say too much. You know, we have kids like that here, right? They kind of keep to themselves a little bit. Well, these kids were also picked on. What they did one day is they made a plan. They planned this. They walked into their school with guns. They walked into the hallways. They walked into the libraries, stood on tables. They walked into the cafeteria. They took those guns and they shot whoever was in their path. They didn't shoot necessarily the bullies. They didn't shoot, people who didn't stand up for them. They just shot anybody that just happened to be around. Now that's a story that's been in the news a lot, right? It's a famous one that you probably heard of. I want to tell you two stories this morning. This is where story time comes in. Last face as much as you can. Pete, stand on up. And I'm not kidding when I tell you. Mr. Heitman, everyone knows Mr. Heitman. You can give Pete a little love. John, now I want you to picture this kid John as I tell the story, and I'm going to ask Pete doesn't have to say anything the whole time. But I want you to kind of think of Pete, not because of what happens in the story is something that Pete would do, because I don't think it is, but what Pete looks like. This is really, he looks a little bit like this John McLaughlin kid. Okay? He does. He was 15 and he was a freshman, and he was a kid who was very quiet, very shy, one of those kids who kind of kept to himself in the classroom. John had some acne though. What's acne?
Oh, pimples.
Acne. Yeah, it's like pimples and zits. Every teenager gets them. If you haven't had them by now, trust me, you will have to fight the beast later on. Everybody gets them. But this was a huge problem for John because there were a couple of kids. There were 4 or 5 kids that decided to take those pimples and zits that every kid gets and really focus on them. They didn't see John the kid, John the smart kid, John the shy kid, John who, played basketball after school. When they looked at John, all they saw were these things on his face. So what they did to him is, one time they threatened to connect the dots on his face. They took him in the hallway, they held him down on the floor, and a whole group of kids, now imagine this, imagine being that kid down there on the floor, and a whole group of kids surrounded him, and they were trying to pop his zits. That's what they said. As John would walk through the hallway, he'd be called all different kinds of names. And you guys know, teenagers are quite creative when it comes to the name calling thing. They'd call him all different kinds of names, so whenever this kid would walk in the hallway, he'd have to watch himself. He would always be on guard because kids would come up to him and take him and shove him into lockers. Then what did John do? Well, John did what many people would do. First, he didn't tell anybody because he was kind of ashamed. He really didn't want anybody to know. And then he decided to go to a teacher. And the teacher, nice woman, tried to help him, tried to do something, but eventually, she blew him off. So John, after this happening to him every day, because it wasn't just one incident where he would get beat up and that was it was done and it was over with. It happened to this kid every day. He would be harassed by these boys every day. So what he decided to do was to go home. His dad was a sheriff. He found his dad's gun. And he felt so low. And he felt so powerless. And he looked at that gun, and when he looked at that gun, in his mind he thought to himself, man, you know what? I bring that to school? You think anybody's gonna mess with me? Heck no. There was his power. In his mind, he was beaten down so low. He was at that point where he didn't know what else to do. So he took the gun and he brought it to school. Last month, 11:30 on Wednesday morning, he went to gym, like he did almost every day, went into the locker room, he got changed, he put on his shirt and his shorts, and this time when he came out of the locker room, he didn't only have his shirt and his shorts, he had a gun. And he took that gun. He aimed it at one boy, the boy who had been bullying him, and he shot him in the back of the neck. He found another boy in his class, and he took that gun and he shot him twice in the chest. One boy died, and the other boy hasn't woken up since it happened last month. Let me share another story with you. There was a girl in Canada. Her name was Dawn Marie Wesley, and she wrote this note. And I have a quote from it that I want to read to you. In this note that she wrote to her parents, it said, "If I try to get help, it will get worse. They're always looking for a new person to beat up and pick on. They're the toughest girls. If I rat it, they would get suspended, but then there would be no stopping them. I love you so much." That note that she wrote was a suicide note. She got to that point where she felt so low. She didn't know anything else to do. She didn't know, or she didn't have any of the answers that would help her feel better. She thought that the only way of solving this problem was taking her own life. She had a younger brother. She was in high school at the time. She came home from high school. She had a younger brother who was in elementary school. You guys know elementary schools get out a little later than the high school. Well, when her younger brother came home from school that day, he walked into Dawn Marie's bedroom to find that she had hung herself with a dog leash. And the younger brother found her. See, Dawn Marie was the odd girl out. She was one of those girls that was just, trying to fit in, trying to be friends with as many people as she could be. And she had this one group of, well, they weren't friends, but there were these one group of girls, and no matter what Dawn Marie did, it wasn't good enough. She didn't wear the right clothes, she didn't say the right things, she didn't like the right kind of music. I don't even know what it was. Maybe it wasn't even about clothes. And whatever she did, though, they just wouldn't let her in to her little circle of friends. But not only would they not let her in, but they would do things like spread rumors about her. They would kind of make snotty comments as she walked by in the hallways. No one would want to work with her when they were working together in class. They didn't include her in anything that they did, and they would do the eye roll. You guys know about the eye roll, right? The interns, can you show me the eye roll? Whenever she walked by or had something to say in class. But see, Dawn hid her disappointment really, really, really well. She didn't show anybody that she was hurting. Why not? If all this stuff is happening to her every day, and she's to the point where she feels so beaten down, how come no one noticed? How come nobody noticed? Think about it. What do you think? Not enough hands, I'll wait. What do you think? Lindsay, what do you think, hon? Yeah, she didn't tell anyone. How come? Because I don't know. I'm the kind of person that if this stuff was happening to me every day, oh no, I'm standing up, I'm saying, stop this. Because I don't deserve to be treated like this. But this happened to her every day, she wasn't that strong. Why would she not want to tell anybody about this bad stuff that's happening to her? The way she was being treated? What?
Because she didn't want, like, if she did tell someone, they would come and, like, probably beat her up or something, and she didn't want that to happen to her.
If I tell and they get suspended, there will be no stopping them. That's what she said in her note. What else? Chris.
Peer pressure.
Peer pressure, like how? Explain.
Like, oh no, I just know it.
Come on, you can do that.
I don't know how to explain, but I know what
Like peer pressure by whom? By bullies?
yeah, like if, what? I'm not sure. You don't know that answer.
Yeah, Mike.
Chris.
Chris R.
Because like she said in the note, if she said something and they got suspended when they come back, they would just like kill her. Rip her apart even more. Yeah, like make it worse.
Yeah. Think about this. I want you to think about it in this way. If this stuff is happening to you every day, would you want to hide it because you'd be kind of ashamed and embarrassed almost? Would you want to hide it because you wouldn't want to show those bullies what they're doing to you? So you want to appear to be strong, right? Not bothering me. Happens every day here. And you might not realize that it happens because people hide it. They keep it in here. Because they don't want to show the bullies that they're bothering him. What you don't see is when these girls go home and these boys go home. And they sit at home and they cry at night as they go to sleep. They cry when they're in the shower. It's a good place to cry when you're in the shower, right? Because nobody can really hear you, the water's coming eating this decent human being in me. And it's all because of you people. The people that make lives so miserable. But God, why me? This isn't a story from Minnesota. This isn't a story from Colorado. This is not something that was written by somebody in Canada. This is something that was written by somebody who could be seated next to you in this room right now. When this person who wrote this showed this to me and came to me, and I looked at that, and I looked at that one line in particular that said, maybe I'm going to do something that one day might surprise the whole world. What do you think this person was talking about? Joe?
Killing someone? Or having a shooting?
Possibly. What else? Tim? Killing herself or himself. Doesn't that make you incredibly sad? That because of the way you treat each other, you can kick someone down and make them feel so low that they feel the only way out is to take their own life? I want to share some more stuff with you. You guys remember that bullying survey that I sent around about a week or so ago? I got some stuff here. Some really interesting stuff, and I'm going to grab the microphone because I want you to read it. This is all anonymous, so I don't want anyone to sit there and get all nervous. This is going to be completely anonymous, but what I did was I took some of those stories that kids told me in this survey about bullying, and I want you to hear their own words. These are words that kids who took the survey, who are probably sitting in this room right now, said that they saw. They said they saw around their own middle school, so I need a volunteer. I need a volunteer. Let's see. All right, Tim, come on up. I need 2 more volunteers. Actually, you know what? Let's do 3. Okay. All right. Frank, come on down. Let's see, who else? Thanks, sweetie. Evan, come on down. We'll even things out. Where are my girls at? Let's see. Sandra, come on down. All right, I have 4 pages here. I'm going to give 1 to Frank. I'm going to give 1 to Tim, 1 to Evan, and 1 to Cassandra. And I want you guys to share these 4 or 2 or 3 things that you see on here. And when you guys are listening to what they're saying, really pay attention. Because this isn't fairy tale stuff. This is the stuff that I heard from you about things that happen in our school. So we'll start with Cassandra. Ready, ma'am?
The bullies were making fun of the kid and called him names and made girls pretend to like him just to make fun of him for it later. He ended up taking a day off of school or so because of the pressure and embarrassment he was under. In the locker room, a girl is being accused of watching another girl dress, which wasn't true. The other girl called her names, pushed her, and verbally abused her. The girl was sent to the principal's office for nothing because the other girls covered up what the bully did.
I was in the stairwell after activity period, and someone ran up and spit on someone else.
One of the girls brought in perfume, and one of the boys grabbed it and sprayed it all over one of the not-so-popular kids and was saying, "Why are you wearing perfume, you girl?"
My friend is a victim. She's always sad and her self-esteem is quite low. She feels so stupid.
This is happening. Thank you, guys. This is happening in your school. A little love for these poor boys. So what is bullying then, exactly? How do you know if, when you see something going on in the hall, if it's bullying? When somebody, goes up to someone else and kind of pushes them, that's bullying, right? Yeah. It is bullying. Well, when you think of bullying, you think about physical stuff, right? Automatically bullying Verbal, yeah. Saying things to people, right? Teasing them, calling them names, picking on people. Now think about what you saw happen on this stage at the beginning of the assembly. There are a couple examples of bullying there. What'd you see? What'd you see, Ryan?
They took the pen.
They took somebody's pen. Good. Does that happen to kids that you know? They get up or they turn their head, all of a sudden their things are swiped, and some punk decides to hide it in another spot in the room so they can't find it. How funny, right? What else? Mike? Absolutely. Sexual harassment. That's a whole other assembly. And believe me, I'm going after that one too. Sexual harassment. Boys saying sexual things to girls or touching them. If you don't think that happened, well, I've saved that for the next assembly. Because I got your words on paper about that too. Good one, Mike. What else? Mark.
Stealing other kids' homework so they can have it.
Yeah, that's happened for Ryan up there. Swiping pencils, swiping homework, so that who gets in trouble? Yeah, the victim gets in trouble and not the bully. Because sometimes teachers are so busy, they don't see stuff happening. What else, Jill?
They pulled the chair under from down.
Yeah. Have you seen that happen? What else, Kasha?
Called the names 4 or 5.
Good. What else? Yeah, like what? Yeah. And the punching, the hitting, that kind of stuff. Jason?
Using someone
Oh. Can you say that one more time, make sure everyone hears it?
using someone
Good. Excellent. Renee? Okay. Excellent. So I have one question for you. After you've heard about all this stuff and you've given me all these answers about what bullying is, you obviously know what it is, right? So if you see it, you know what it is, yeah? Mike, I'm going to ask you to go on stage because I have one question for you. And I decided to put that question up there on that chalkboard so you not only hear me, but you can see the question and I want you to think about it. My question for you is why do you put up with it? Whose school is this?
My school.
Whose school is this?
My school.
So why do you let this behavior happen in your school? Everybody got a number this morning, right? Okay, you got a number either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. What I would like to happen is I want all the number 1s in the audience to stand up. Only the number 1s. If you're number 1, I want you to stand up. All right, I want you to look at the people who are standing. 1 in 7 students in school is either a bully or a victim. So in this school, not necessarily these kids, because we know these are all kids. But 1 in 7 students in school is either a bully or a victim. My number 1s, take a seat. Now what I want to happen is I want to see kids who are number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. All of you stand up. Okay, look around. Numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7 represent the people that are not the bully or not the victim. They represent who? People who watch it, people who see it happen. Now I want you to stop for a second. I want you to look around at all these people. Are there more bullies? Or are there more people who stand by and watch it happen? Yeah, take a seat. Martin Luther King Jr. said, I have a dream. Many of you know about that because you've been writing your own perfect Matthias land. Saddle Brook Middle School would be a school where those people who are numbered 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, those people who stand by and watch stuff like the people up here told you about happen, would all stand together, put their foot down, and say, enough. Imagine what that would be like. Would it be easy to do what I call take back the brook? There is safety in numbers. If one person stands up to a bully, that's brave, right? Does it always work? No. But imagine what it would be like if those people, the 85% of people who stood by and saw stuff happen, decided to open their mouth and say, you know what? No more. Not in the school that I go to. It's time to take back the brook. I want to present something to you today. Oh, no, wait, before I do that, hold on. I gotta do something else. Raise your hand if you have younger brothers or sisters. Whoa. No, younger brothers and sisters. Wow, that's a lot of kids. Okay, hands down, hands down. Those of you that raised your hand, I want to ask you this question. What kind of school do you want your younger brother or sister to walk into when they get to Saddle Brook Middle School? What kind of school? Let's see. Oh, mine's back on. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. Younger brother and sister. Just get a younger brother and sister. Daniel, you have a younger brother? What kind of school do you want him to come to? A good one, meaning what? Okay. Let's see. Eric, you have a younger brother or sister? Younger sister? What kind of school do you want her to be a part of? Yeah. Okay, hands down. Raise your hand if you want your younger brother or sister to eventually come to Saddle Brook Middle School and have to be afraid of what they say because they're afraid somebody else is going to make fun of them for it. Raise your hand if you want your younger brother or sister to come to that kind of school. No takers, huh? All right. Here's another question. Raise your hand if you want your younger brother or sister when they are walking down the hallway to have to constantly look over their shoulder or worry if they are going to be the next kid that is pushed into the locker or pushed down the hallway. No? Okay. Raise your hand if you want your younger brother or sister to be able to walk into a school and walk into the classroom, feel free to give their opinion about something without worrying about who's going to roll their eyes or say something about them. If you want your younger brother and sister to come to a school where they're not afraid to walk down the hallway, then you know what you need to do? Hands down. First thing that you need to do is not make this a place for your younger brother and sister to be. You need to start with you, and you need to start with yourself. And that's why today I want to introduce a campaign to you called Blue Ribbons Against Bullies, and I'm going to ask my event organizers to come on up. And I want to show you something. This goes back to the whole Matthias Land perfect world thing. My girls are going to be handing out some ribbons to our guests, and also handing out packets of ribbons to teachers. So teachers, please make sure that if you've got a class, raise your hand so my event organizers can find you. Inside each packet are ribbons. There are two kinds of ribbons. One kind of ribbon is a big ribbon that the teachers and the faculty are going to be getting. Have you ever been through a town and what you see around the town is yellow ribbons tied around telephone poles? What do those yellow ribbons stand for? Do you know? What are those yellow ribbons all about? Chris, do you know? that few minutes, if you choose to go to your locker, to get your lock, and to take one of the ribbons that you get and tie it to your lock. Just like this. Say this is your lock. Here's the part where you open it, the side where you open it, right? Well, there's this side right here that doesn't come out, right? That's where you want to put the ribbon, if you choose to do it. Now, you can be fancy schmancy if you want. Tie the ribbon around, kind of like this. Oh, they're taking my picture. You can tie the ribbon around like this, and some guys might want to get like scissors, and you make it curl, so it's nice and cute. You can do that if you want. All I'm asking you, not be fancy schmancy, just tie the ribbon around the lock. Imagine what it would be like to be in our school hallways and to see these ribbons on locks all the way down the hallway. That would be a message that says no more. If you take this ribbon and you tie it and you make the choice to tie it around your lock, then you are saying to everyone who is a bully in this room, everyone who has ever treated people in some of those ways that we talked about and made them feel in some of those ways that we talked about, you tie this ribbon around here and you are saying, I don't support that and I don't want that in whose school?
My school.
I don't want it in whose school?
My school.
That's right. Now if you make a choice to not tie this ribbon around your lock, do you know what that means? Well, that means that myself, all the other teachers, Mr. Porfido, Mr. Wyatt, we know that we need to keep an eye on you, because if you don't put it around your lock, that really means that you don't care, or that you even support stuff that's going on in this school. So I want you to think about that. Last year, some of my kids know that I had a student come to me, and that student told me about some of the things that he had been going through every day when he came to school. And it inspired me to look into whether or not our school district had a policy on bullying. So what I did was I got together with a group of people, and we created one, so that there are no excuses. That we know if a student does this, then this, and this is going to happen. So what I'm going to do is ask Mr. Porfido and my event organizers to come on up. We have copies of that bullying, harassment, and intimidation policy for the Saddle Brook School District. And my event organizers, oh you did? You handed them out already? Oh, you're so good. So good. Mr. Porfido is going to say a few words and make sure that you are aware about what happens to you if you make the choice to behave in those kinds of ways.
Good morning and welcome. Before I share a few words with you, I just want to take a minute to thank Ms. Mathias. She does really incredible work, and the effort and the time that she's put in to try and help us out today with this issue is just tremendous. I was thinking about preparing something for today, and I was going through the internet last night. I was doing some research. I was going to do an anecdotal story borrowing from one of my colleagues who does that sometimes. But then I was sitting there this morning and I changed my whole thought process, because when things like this happen, bullying, intimidation, harassing, when we hear stories about how it happens to other people, it hits us, but doesn't really hit us hard until it hits our home, until it happens to somebody that we know really close. And there's a guy I knew my whole life that was a little different from everybody else. He had no hands, had no feet. But he was a very successful man his whole life, and always hid his whole life the bullying and the teasing that he took from everybody he ever came in contact with. But through it all, he still became a successful CPA, a borough assessor of a town for over 30 years, and no one ever knew what he really went through. Well, this man was my father. And a few years ago, I lost him in a suicide. And when I think about what he went through his whole life, it says, wow, let's put a stop to this right now, and let's eliminate anybody else from going through those type of tragedies, because those feelings of hurt, they don't go away. And when your parents send you to school every day, they don't just trust me with keeping you safe as far as your physical safety. They trust me to keep you safe as far as your emotional well-being also. And that's why I make it a priority every day to look into these matters and to deal with them in a serious way. Okay, and then our Board of Education in Saddle Brook also has a policy on harassment, bullying, and intimidation. And if you could just refer to your copy. Does everybody have a copy right now?
The teachers should have.
Oh, the teachers have a copy, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to look at this policy. I'm going to read it to you right off the policy as it's worded. The Board of Education expects pupils to treat each other with civility and respect and will not tolerate any acts of harassment, intimidation, or bullying. Like other disruptive or violent behaviors, the conduct interferes with a pupil's ability to learn, a school's ability to educate its pupils in a safe environment, and threatens the emotional, mental, and physical well-being of the pupil. Harassment, intimidation, or bullying is defined as any aggressive and deliberate act or acts by an individual or group with an intent to physically, emotionally, or socially harm another pupil, damage the pupil's property, or place the pupil in the fear of harm to his, her person, or damage to his, her property. It is also an act that has the effect of insulting, demeaning a pupil in such a way as to cause disruption or interference with the pupil's education or orderly operation of the school. Other examples of harassment, intimidation, or bullying include, but are not limited to, physical violence, verbal taunts, name-calling, put-downs, verbal and nonverbal actions perceived by the victims as threatening or intimidating, extortion or stealing of money and or possessions, deliberate, repeated exclusion from the peer group, and the spreading of insults, rumors, and lies targeting a select individual. Now, individual responses to those people who do bully and harass include, but are not limited to, positive behavioral interventions. Example, peer tutoring or mentoring, short-term counseling, and disciplinary consequences. Examples, timeout, detention, or suspension. Classroom responses include, but are not limited to, role plays, research, projects, observing and discussing appropriate audio-visual materials, and curriculum-based programs. School responses include, but are not limited to, school-based programs tied to skill-building lessons in the courtesy, tolerance, assertiveness, and conflict management, theme days, and parent programs. Basically, all this says here is that there can be some serious consequences if you choose to bully or harass people in school. And I'm just going to let, lastly, what I want to say lastly is that, when you do something good, you feel good. And when you do something bad, you feel bad. Let's try to keep everybody in Saddle Brook Middle School feeling good. Thank you.
One more thing today before I send you back. I need 4 volunteers. You don't know what you're volunteering for. Okay. Who likes to brush their teeth in the morning? At night? Frank, come on up. What's your name, hon? Who is it? Caroline, come on up. Let's get 2 people from over here. Hey, Renz, come on down. And, Allie, come on down. All right. Caroline, I'm going to ask you to hold this plate. And Frank, I'm going to ask you to hold this plate. You're going to stand here. You're going to stand there. Renz, come on over here. Okay, I want you to stand over here. Allie, you're good. Allie, ready? All right. Allie and Renz, what I would like you to do is I want you to take the cap off that toothpaste. Then I want you to take the toothpaste, and I want you to take the tube, and I want you to squeeze all the toothpaste out onto the plate. Okay, just squeeze it all out. Go ahead. Get it all out. Come on. Come on, girl. Allie and Renz, what I would like you to do is keep the caps off. I want you to take the toothpaste that you squeezed out, and I want you to put it back in the tube. Good. I'll wait. Not so easy, is it? It smells really fresh up here. Thank you. No. Let's take it back. Thank you very much. The reason I did this is to show you something. It was really easy to squeeze that toothpaste out of these tubes, right? How hard was it to put it back in? Next time you go to say something, especially something, you're a funny kid, Joe. Especially something that is not nice, that is mean, that is negative, and something that you know, because you are a fine bunch of intelligent people. You know whether what you say is good, bad, negative, nasty, or not. Next time you go to say one of those things, I want you to think about this. Because it is real easy. It is real easy to say something mean. Is it easy to take it back? No. Just like trying to squeeze a whole bunch of toothpaste back into a container or a tube of toothpaste, it's hard. You can work hard to try and take it back. You can say some things to kind of put a Band-Aid on it, say that you're sorry, try and make the other person feel better. Will it ever be the same as before that came out of your mouth? No, it won't. So next time, think about that. Your mayor, Mayor D'Arminio, would like to say something? Yeah?
I've been so impressed with this whole presentation. It just brings me back to before I was mayor. I was a police officer for many years. And as a police detective, I worked in a juvenile bureau. And what that did was I handled all the crimes and the problems of children. And I've learned a lot from that. I learned a lot here today, that the same problems that I experienced as a police officer in the juvenile division, I experienced here today. Well, one thing I learned here also today, and you should learn today, is you need to tell somebody about the bullying. And the 73% of the people who are bystanders and watch this, and watch the person taking a pencil and making fun of somebody, it starts off so innocently, and we laugh and we joke and we think it's so funny, but it's not funny to that person. And I can assure you from a law enforcement standpoint that those who want to engage in bullying will pay a price. And that price will be jail, criminal charges, lawsuits, and your mothers and your fathers and grandparents will all be dragged into this. It is not something that is tolerated in a community. We are a tight community. You need to gain support amongst yourselves. So I want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Grogan, Ms. Matthias, President Joel, for inviting me here. And whatever I can do to help you in any way, shape, or form, please call someone. Talk to somebody. Call my office, the school, and we will be there for you. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Everybody in here and everybody in this room is different from one another. Teachers spend so much time talking to kids about how you're different and how all those differences really are what make, our school community a great thing. But today I want to remind you that no matter how different you are from one another, there is one thing that will always be the same. a real person. And that target feels things just the way you feel things. So think about that. My last story. Remember all those things I told you about the boy in Minnesota and the girl in Canada? If you think that it cannot happen to whose school? My school. You're crazy. I taught, before I came to Saddle Brook Middle School, I taught in Kinnelon. I heard all about all this stuff, kids bringing guns to school and everything, and I thought, not in my school, because I'm teaching in Kinnelon. Kinnelon's a nice place. Anybody ever been to Kinnelon? Very nice place. I thought stuff like that would never happen here. Until one day I was teaching in a classroom. I was teaching social studies in a 7th grade class. And over the loudspeaker came something that said Code Red. Code Red meant that we had to lock down our doors, lock down our students in our classroom, and get down against the wall because there was something or someone dangerous in the school. I found out later that there was a boy who had been teased and bullied and picked on, decided to go home. His grandfather was staying with him, and he happened to work as a police officer. He took that guy's gun, he brought it to school, to my school. And thank goodness, he told a friend. He was proud of it because he had the power now. Because nobody's going to mess with him if he's got a gun, right? So he said, hey, look at this. Nobody's going to mess with me. Showed it to him in his backpack. Well, thank goodness that person that he showed it to was smart enough to get to the principal's office and say, hey, so-and-so has a gun. And that's when they said Code Red and we went into lockdown. They found out that that boy loaded that gun, not with 1 bullet, but with 15 hollow point bullets. And he was about to do something that had happened at Columbine High School in Colorado. So if you think that those stories that I tell you cannot happen at your school, I want you to think again. One more time, whose school is this?
My school!
Whose school is this?
My school!
Thank you.
Just so that everyone knows what's going on, we're going to dedicate this morning, because of the seriousness of this topic, we're going to dedicate the rest of this morning back at homeroom, debriefing and following a class discussion to this topic. And then this afternoon, we've created a special schedule for this afternoon that the homeroom teachers have been given. We'll do blocks 1, 2, 3, and 4 this afternoon. So I would ask that everyone return with their teachers back to their homerooms. Thank you.
My homeroom, please remain here.
Thanks. By the way, one more second, guys. I wanted to compliment you and commend you. You guys did a great